welcome to the Album Man, and today it's time for Random Friday Review. So let's go into the magic envelope and see what we have. So give it a shake and let's have a look. Okie dokie, let's see. So we have, what's that? EB3 by Alter Bridge. Okay, so that's an album I know pretty well, so this should be a fairly easy one to review, to be honest, but, you know, I've given my opinions on Fortress, and I've said how much I like the band, and I've given my opinions on Blackbird as well, so may as well do it on EB3. I'll be back in a sec after I've given it another listen. So, Alter Bridge's EB3. And if you hadn't gathered, or maybe if you believe that Alter Bridge were trying to fool you like Chicken Foot did with their Chicken Foot 3 album, no, Alter Bridge's album is, in fact, EB3 is their third studio album, as you'd probably expect, to be honest. And it was released in 2010 with a 3.5 version being released, I think, in 11, but I don't know. I just have the standard regular edition. I got it at the time, you know. And I can't say I like things like 3.5 editions. That was a little annoying. Anyway, this is the follow-up to what I believe is still the crowning achievement, which is the Blackbird album. I mean, and yeah, the interesting thing about this album, EB3 off the bat, is that it deals with much darker lyrical themes than their previous two, Blackbird and One Day Remains. Now, you may not know this, well, I certainly didn't. I mean, you may be way more informed about Alter Bridge than me, but this is actually a loose concept album, and it's about a character, quote, desperately struggling to find their place in a world steeped in doubt and emptiness, which is a very interesting concept, and in a way, I wish they'd explored it further, as, you know, this has no linear narrative or narrative at all, for that matter, to be honest, even though its depressing themes definitely shown through the album. It's a thematic concept, and purely thematic. It would have been nice, I think they could have dealt with an interesting narrative, as it is, yeah, it's a good theme to explore, to be honest. In fact, some people have even gone as far to call this progressive metal. I find that a little odd. I wouldn't call this quite progressive metal. I don't really know where that's coming from. I mean, I suppose you could say they're progressing their sounds, like in the way that Radiohead, I suppose, or a progressive band, as in, you know, they push, you know, music to the like rock music to the boundaries and things like that. Well, Alter Bridge aren't exactly pushing rock music to their limits. They're certainly pushing themselves as a band in slightly unexpected directions, though the leap from Blackbird to this is hardly comparable with the leap between Radiohead's Pablo Honey and the Bends. I mean, come on now. And yeah, this album is often regarded either really as a masterpiece, or there's a large sect of fans who find it falls flat a bit. They don't like the slightly darker themes and just really don't find it as an enjoyable listen as maybe Blackbird or even One Day Remains. I think One Day Remains is definitely their weakest album, though it's still a strong album in its own right. And Alter Bridge took an interesting step out the gate by releasing Isolation as their first single from it, I believe, which is probably the heaviest song on the album, or certainly one of them. Still, what do I think of this album? I think it's fantastic, quite frankly, I really do. My favourite song on it has to be Slip to the Void. I just love the build-up for that song. And it's still, aside from the song Blackbird, has, which is, I mean, that's just my literal favourite everything when it comes to Alter Bridge, has my favourite vocal performance from Miles Kennedy. And yeah, I mean, the chorus is, well, just wonderful, and one of my favourite Alter Bridge songs overall. And the thing I like most about this song probably is I really like the darker sound it has. As someone who loves a dark, foreboding atmosphere, you really wouldn't think that Alter Bridge would be a band, especially after the last time, that could create an atmosphere like that. And while they're by no means the master of a dark atmosphere, no, there's proper progressive metal bands that do a superior job, to be quite frank. They do manage it pretty well in their own way. They still have that classic Alter Bridge sound about them, but as I say, just with slightly darker themes and just with riffs that really, yeah, have a less casual, fun tone to them, really. But though the choruses and song structures, they're much the same as the previous albums. I mean, it's not as varied as we get on Fortress. But again, as I said, the atmosphere is interesting, the riffs are a little different, and the album just has a more intense sound, maybe you could say, overall. There's a nice variety of songs on here as well, which I like, from the heavier songs like Isolation, Fallout, I Know Hurts even, to some of Alter Bridge's most beautiful songs like Ghosted Days Gone By and Where It's Darker Than Wings, particularly Where It's Darker Than Wings, even though that does have a bit of a heavier crescendo and some really nice vocal work from Mark Tremonti. I still say it's a pretty beautiful song. Though as much as I enjoy the big riffs from Tremonti, soaring vocals from Mars, infectious chorus, stomping drums and booming bass, I do have a couple of small gripes of this album. The first, the lack of variety in song length. Yes, everything's about 3 to 5 minutes, no epics to be found, unfortunately, and when compared to Fortress in hindsight, which has a nice variety of lengths of long songs like Cry of Achilles and Fortress, which bookends the album. This album, it just doesn't, it feels like you could do something to really just break the cycle and really lift it. Though, really, does this change my opinion much on it? No, and again, the song structures, I suppose, I have a little gripe with. They're fairly similar. I mean, the light and shade's nice, but really, with generally kick-ass songwriting, I really just don't even give a crap about those gripes when I'm being pounded by just a wall of awesome sound. I'm going to be giving this album a 9 out of 10. It's just fantastic. You know how much I love my Alter Bridge, I really do. I mean, God, you know, the last 3 albums, so AB3 a 9, well no, Blackbird a 10, AB3 a 9, and Fortress a 9.5. Even on my review of Blackbird, I only gave it a 9.5. Probably say it's a 10 now, I don't know. But, yeah, so they're my opinions on AB3. I don't know who suggested that, but, yeah. This has been the album, man. Of course, comment more suggestions for RFR, you know, in the magic envelope would be nothing if it didn't have your suggestions. I mean, it still has quite a few albums in it. It's not, you know, nowhere near empty, but, you know, new suggestions always welcome. So as I was in the middle saying, this has been the album, man. Thanks for watching. Can't wait to subscribe, and as usual, long live rock and roll.